Lesson 7.1 Video 2. Greatest common factors of a set of monomials. Greatest common factors, which means we're looking for the largest number that can go into both numbers. So I'm going to do this two different ways. The first way I'm going to do is doing our factor tree again. So 21 is 3 times 7, and those are both prime numbers. 49 is 7 times 7. So if you look at the two, what they have in common are the largest number they both have in common, or the largest factor they both have, is 7. The next one, I'm going to do it the same way. I'm going to get the prime factors of 12, so 2 times 6, 2 times 3, and we have our a, b squared, and c. So I'm going to write this number out in a certain way, and again all I'm going to do is two ways, so you can choose which way you like. This one will be 2 times 2 times 3 times a, because it's a squared, b and b, because it's b squared, and c. The next one I'm going to do in blue here, so 2 times 9 is 18, and then 9 is 3 and 3. So that one is 2 times 3 times 3. We have a, and then we have b cubed. Alright, so what is the greatest common factor? Well, if we look at them, in both of them lined up like this, they both have a 2, they both have a 3, they both have an a, they both have 2 b's. So we would write this as they both have a 2, 3, an a in common, and 2 b's in common. So we would write our greatest common factor as being 6ab squared. Now that's one way of doing these questions. Let's look at another. Again, trying to find what method you've used in the past that looks most familiar. Now this one I'm going to do a little bit differently. I'm going to take this down here and say, okay, what are my factors of 6? 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Okay, then I'm going to do my next one there and say, what are the factors of that? Well, 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. Now when I look at these two, the largest number that goes into both would be considered 6. And then when I look at my letters, I would say, how many x's do both of them have at least? Well, there's an x in the second term, but not the first, so x is not a part of the common factor. How many y's do they both have at least? They both have at least one y. How about z's? The z is to the fourth in the first term, but not the second, so there is no z in common. So this is the greatest common factor. Again, same idea, just a little bit different way of looking at it. Last one. Again, I'll write this out the same way I did before. This one will have 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 4 times 10, and 5 times 8. Pretty tight there, sorry about that. And the next one, 1 and 50, 2 and 25, and 5 and 10. So I'm looking at those numbers. What's the largest number that goes into both of those? and that would be 10. That's the largest number on both lists. That's one way of doing that. So we'd write 10. We look at the A's. There's an A in one of them, and then an A to the fifth in the other, so what they have in common is at least an A. That's all they have in common. The B's, they have at least a B in common. And C's, they have at least a C. So that would be the greatest common factor for that one. This ends Lesson 7.1, Video 2.